My dad abandoned us when we had nothing. Now I'm a millionaire, and he wants in. I was the youngest of four siblings in a family that barely had anything to hold on to. Our house was small, weathered by time and hardship, with cracked walls and a leaky roof. Mom did everything she could to keep us afloat, but there were days we didn't even have enough food to fill our stomachs. My oldest brother worked odd jobs, my sister helped around neighbors' homes, but I was just a kid trying to make sense of a life that seemed designed to break us. Our father was the shadow over everything, a man full of anger, frustration, and fear he took out on us. He came home drunk, eyes wild, hands ready to punch. He'd strike Mom, scream at my brothers, and leave bruises on my sister's arms. I learned to keep my head down, silent and still, hoping the storm would pass without hitting me. One night, after a fight worse than usual, he stormed out. He didn't come back. That night, a strange silence settled over our home, one that held both relief and fear. Relief because the violence stopped, but fear because we had no idea how we'd survive without him. Mom's tears were a constant soundtrack to our new reality. She worked double shifts cleaning houses, washing clothes, anything she could find. But the bills piled up. The fridge stayed empty too long. I was just 12 years old when I decided I had to do something. Watching my family struggle, watching Mom cry herself to sleep, I knew I couldn't wait for a miracle. I found work at a nearby construction site, hauling bricks and mixing cement. My small hands became rough and calloused, but every peso I earned was a step towards something better. I remember the first day I got paid. The weight of the money in my pocket felt like a secret treasure. I could almost see a future beyond hunger and fear. That's when I bought my first phone, not a fancy one, but enough to connect me to a world I'd never seen before. I started searching for ways to make money online, desperate to find an escape. One day, I stumbled on a gaming video on YouTube. People were making money just by playing games, talking to viewers, and sharing their passion. I was hooked. The idea sparked something inside me, a dream that maybe, just maybe, I could do this too. I didn't tell anyone at first. I set up a simple YouTube channel with an old headset and my shaky phone camera. I recorded myself playing games, commenting with everything I had. My voice was rough, my moves clumsy, but I kept uploading videos. At first, there were only a handful of views, mostly bots or random clicks. But slowly, people started watching. They liked the honesty, the struggle they heard in my voice. My subscriber count grew, and so did my hope. But hope wasn't enough to fill our empty stomachs. I still worked construction by day and recorded videos by night, exhausted but relentless. Every peso earned on the site, every cent from my growing channel was sent home to Mom to buy food or pay rent. That's when the real journey began. What started as a desperate hustle turned into something bigger than I imagined. A chance not just to survive, but to rise. As the months passed, my little YouTube channel started to grow faster than I dared hope. I was no longer just a kid recording gameplay in a dusty corner of our tiny room. I was becoming someone people recognized, a boy from nothing who talked about the struggles of life while playing games and trying to make sense of the world. Every notification was like a heartbeat. Each new subscriber wasn't just a number. It was proof that I was on the right path. My channel's name, something I chose on a whim, began appearing in comments and messages from viewers all over the country, sometimes even from other parts of the world. They told me they could relate to my story, to the fights and fears I shared between game rounds. Some said I gave them hope. Mom noticed a change too. Her tired eyes would brighten when I showed her the subscriber count or the little earnings from ads. She stopped crying so much, or at least tried not to do it in front of us. It was as if the tiny light I carried inside was growing, pushing away the darkness that had haunted us for so long. But with growth came challenges. The construction work was brutal and unrelenting. My body ached every morning, and some days I felt like giving up. The pressure was overwhelming, helping with the bills, being there for my siblings, and trying to build a future on shaky internet connections and an old phone that could break at any moment. I had little time for anything else. My older brothers sometimes scoffed at my childish gaming obsession, saying I was wasting time. My sister worried I was overworking myself. But deep down, I knew this was my shot, the one chance to rewrite our story. One day, after a long shift mixing concrete in the blazing sun, I came home to a note pinned to the door. It was from my father. The handwriting was uneven, angry, and desperate. "I'm back. I want my share. You're nothing without me." The words cut deeper than any fist ever could. For years, his absence was a wound that ached quietly. Now he had the audacity to return, to demand money, to act like he had a right to anything at all. I crumpled the note and stuffed it in my pocket, my hands shaking. Mom saw it and burst into tears. The siblings looked at me, waiting for what I would do. That night, I stayed awake long after everyone else had fallen asleep. I thought about the years of pain, the nights I cried myself to sleep because of his anger, the times he punched Mom and siblings alike. I thought about how he left us to drown while he walked away. And yet, here he was, expecting us to open the door and hand him our hard-earned money. I knew what I had to do. This time, I wasn't the scared kid hiding from Monster. I was the man who had fought tooth and nail to save his family. I was the one who had turned brokenness into strength, and I would not let him in. The next morning, I woke up early, the weight of my father's letter still heavy on my chest. Mom was already in the kitchen, preparing what little breakfast we had. The house felt fragile, like it could collapse under the pressure of memories and unspoken fears. I sat down with her, trying to steady my voice. "Mom, he's not coming back. Not for us. Not for me." Her eyes, tired and red-rimmed, met mine. "I don't want to see him again. But what if he causes trouble?" I reached out, squeezing her hand. "I'll handle it. I've come too far to let him ruin this." The phone buzzed. Another notification from my channel. A new sponsor had offered a deal. The income was about to jump, maybe enough to pay off some debts and finally get a proper roof over our heads. But my mind was elsewhere. That evening, the doorbell rang. My heart thudded in my chest, but I refused to let fear take over. I opened the door just enough to see his familiar face, rough, weather-beaten, eyes scanning the room like a predator sizing up prey. "Hey boy," he sneered. "I hear you're making some money now. About time you started pulling your weight." I stood firm. "We don't need you here. Mom works harder than you ever did." He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the small hallway. "You think you're better than me? Don't forget who put food on this table when you were a kid." "Food? You left us starving. You left Mom beaten. You left me to grow up too fast." My voice cracked, but I didn't back down. His expression darkened. "You owe me. I'm family." I shook my head. "Family doesn't hurt family. You walked away. I'm the one who stayed and fought." He spat on the floor and turned away. "You'll regret this." As he walked down the street, I felt a strange mix of anger and relief. The man who had haunted my childhood was just a shadow now, powerless, desperate, broken. That night, I posted a video explaining, as much as I could, the story behind my success. I didn't name names, but I shared the pain, the fight, the hope. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from people who had suffered similar wounds, who had been abandoned or hurt by the ones who should have loved them. My channel wasn't just about games anymore. It was about survival, resilience, and reclaiming your life when everything tries to break you. But the story wasn't over. Days turned into weeks, and my father's threats remained just words. He showed up a couple more times, always demanding money, always expecting us to bend. But I kept my distance, setting firm boundaries. I blocked his number, ignored his knocks, and made sure Mom and my siblings felt safe. The house, once filled with tension and fear, began to breathe again. With the extra income from my growing YouTube channel, things started to change. I finally bought a decent computer, better gear for recording, and upgraded my internet connection. The quality of my videos improved, and so did the audience engagement. Brands reached out, offering sponsorship deals that made me realize this wasn't just a hobby anymore. It was a career, a lifeline for my family. Mom quit her second job, smiling more than I'd seen in years. My siblings enrolled in school full-time without worry about missing meals. We even managed to fix the roof and repaint the house, giving it a fresh coat of hope. But success brought its own challenges. I found myself juggling responsibilities I never imagined. Creator, provider, protector. I missed childhood moments and the chance to just be a kid. Still, Every sacrifice felt worth it. Then, one afternoon, as I was editing a new video, a message popped up on my phone from an unknown number. "I want to talk. Let's meet." My heart skipped. It was him, my father. I debated telling Mom, but I didn't want to worry her again. I agreed to meet in a public park, hoping to finally get answers, or maybe closure. The day of the meeting, my palms sweated as I walked through the park. He was there, sitting on a bench, looking older, wearier, but the same eyes that had once struck fear into me. "I've heard about what you've done," he said quietly. "I'm proud in my own way." The words felt hollow, like a shadow pretending to be sunlight. "You left us. You abandoned everything," I replied. "How can you be proud of that?" He looked away, struggling. "I was scared, lost. I made mistakes, terrible ones. But I see now you built something I never could." I swallowed my anger and sadness. "Then why come back? Why now?" He met my gaze, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through. "Because I'm alone. I thought maybe you'd let me be part of your life again." For a moment, I saw a man broken by his own failures. But I also remembered the years of pain, the nights my mother cried, the childhood stolen from me. "I'm not the son you left behind," I said firmly. "I don't owe you anything." He nodded, defeated. "I understand." As I walked away, a strange weight lifted. I realized forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or letting someone back in. It was about freeing myself from the chains of the past. The days after that meeting were strangely peaceful. I hadn't heard from him again, and part of me hoped it was because he finally accepted the boundary I set. Mom smiled more freely. My siblings laughed louder, and our little home felt like a sanctuary instead of a battlefield. But peace is a way of tempting fate. One evening, as I was live streaming to my followers, my phone buzzed with an unexpected text message. It was from a private number. "You think you're better than me? Let's see how long your luck lasts." A cold shiver ran down my spine. This was more than a threat. It was a challenge. I told Mom about it immediately. Her face drained of color. "We have to be careful. He's dangerous when he feels cornered." For the first time in a long while, I feared for my family's safety. The man who had once ruled our home with fists and fury was now trying to bully me from the shadows. I contacted a friend who worked in security. He suggested we install cameras and be vigilant. I doubled my efforts to keep the house secure, but the paranoia gnawed at me. Every unexpected knock, every shadow outside made me tense. But I refused to let fear control us. I kept streaming, kept building, kept fighting. One night, while I was recording a particularly intense game session, my mother's voice called from the kitchen. "Son, come quick." I paused the stream, heart pounding. She pointed to the window. There were footprints in the dirt leading up to the house, fresh and deep. Someone had been there. I called the police, but without proof of trespassing or damage, they could do little. It was as if the past was trying to claw its way back in. Determined not to be a victim, I organized a fundraiser among my followers to improve our home security and help support those who had suffered abuse like we did. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of messages poured in, stories shared, hope passed along like a flame in the dark. Through it all, I realized something important. My success wasn't just mine. It belonged to every scarred soul watching, every broken family waiting for a break, every kid working hard against impossible odds. I wasn't just building a channel. I was building a community, a family made of strangers who believed in second chances and fierce resilience. And no one, not even my father, could take that away. The fundraiser was more than I could have imagined. Money poured in, not just from sponsors, but from thousands of strangers who saw their own struggles in my story. We installed security cameras, reinforced doors, and even hired a part-time guard to watch over our neighborhood. For the first time, I felt my family was truly safe. But security wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. Slowly, Mom started opening up more about the years of pain we never spoke about. She told me about the nights she prayed for a miracle, the times she wanted to give up but held on for us. My siblings shared their fears and hopes. Our wounds were deep, but together we began to heal. Despite everything, I still had to keep growing my channel. The internet world was competitive and ruthless, and I couldn't afford to fall behind. I poured my heart into every video, every stream. Sometimes exhaustion hit so hard I thought I might break, but the thought of giving up was impossible. Not after all we'd been through. One afternoon, a package arrived for me. Inside was a letter with no return address and an old, worn-out photograph of our family before everything fell apart. Dad was in the picture, smiling awkwardly, arms around Mom and the kids. The words beneath it read, "I'm sorry. I lost my way." My hands trembled. The letter was unsigned. For days, I wrestled with conflicting emotions: anger, sadness, longing. Was it possible that beneath the bitterness, he truly regretted? Could forgiveness exist even when the wounds ran this deep? I thought about the man who had left us starving, beaten, broken, but also about the boy who had risen from nothing to save his family. I thought about the future I wanted to build, one not defined by the past, but by strength and hope. I sat down and recorded a new video, not about games, but about pain, growth, and the difficult journey to forgive. I shared the letter, the photo, and my story, hoping it might help others caught in the shadows of broken families. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in, some from people who'd forgiven their own fathers, others from those still struggling. I realized this was bigger than me. It was about breaking cycles, choosing love over hate, and building a future free from fear. That video marked a turning point, not just for my channel, but for me. The flood of messages from strangers sharing their pain and hope reminded me I wasn't alone. There are thousands out there like me, wrestling with past wounds but dreaming of better days. My channel transformed into more than just gaming. It became a platform for real stories. I invited guests to share their journeys, opened up live discussions about mental health, abuse, and survival. My audience grew, but more importantly, a community grew, a family not bound by blood but by shared scars and resilience. But life has a way of testing even the strongest. One afternoon, I received a call from my older brother. His voice was tight, urgent. "Mom's sick. The doctor says it's serious." I dropped everything. Rushing to the hospital, I found Mom pale but stubborn, her spirit fighting even as her body weakened. The years of hardship had taken a toll, and now we faced a new battle. We rallied around her. I paused streaming to spend nights at her bedside, siblings taking shifts to care for her. I sold some of my gear to pay for treatments, and my community chipped in with donations and prayers. Through the pain, Mom remained a pillar of strength. She reminded us that no matter how hard life hits, we had each other, and that was everything. One evening, as I sat by her hospital bed, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "You made us proud. You saved this family." Tears filled my eyes. For the first time, I saw not just a mother, but a warrior who'd endured more than anyone should. I vowed then to keep fighting. For her, for my siblings, and for every person who believed in second chances. And just when we thought we could finally breathe, the past returned in the most unexpected way. It started with a call late one night. A stranger's voice, cold and unfamiliar. "I'm calling on behalf of your father," he said. "He wants to talk. Says he's changed." I felt my blood run cold. After all this time, after everything, the past was reaching out again. But this time, it wasn't just a casual threat or empty words. It was a calculated move. I told the caller to pass a message. We were done with him. No more chances. No more damage. But they kept calling, sending messages, showing up near the house. It was like a dark cloud hovering, threatening to tear apart the fragile peace we had fought so hard to build. One evening, after a long hospital shift, I found my father sitting outside our house. He looked older, worn down, but his eyes held a stubborn fire. "Let me in," he said. "I want to help." I clenched my fists. "You left us to rot. You don't get to come back now." He looked at me, his voice breaking. I was scared. I was weak. But I'm here now. For a moment, I saw a man not as a villain, but as a broken soul trying to find redemption. But forgiveness is not weakness. "Your absence made me who I am," I said. "If you'd stayed, I might never have had to fight so hard. I won't pretend your mistakes don't hurt." He nodded, tears welling up. "I understand." That night, he left again, not as a man demanding, but as one seeking forgiveness without expectation. I realized then that sometimes the hardest battles aren't with others, but within ourselves, between pain and healing, anger and peace. Our family wasn't perfect, and the scars would never fully fade. But we had survived. We had risen, and that was the true victory. With my father gone once more, this time for good, the weight on my shoulders began to lighten. It was as if his final departure allowed a space for healing that we hadn't dared to claim before. Mom's health improved slowly but steadily. My siblings grew more confident, and our home became a place of laughter and dreams rather than fear and silence. I found a new rhythm balancing my channel, family, and personal growth. The millions I'd earned didn't just buy us comfort. They bought us dignity, a chance to rewrite our story on our own terms. But success brought its own shadows. Some in the gaming community whispered that I owed my success to luck or drama, not hard work. Others questioned my story, skeptical of a boy who rose from poverty to millions. The sting of doubt cut deep. One day, during a live stream, I decided to confront it head-on. I shared every painful detail, the violence, the hunger, the fear, the endless nights working while chasing a dream. I laid bare my soul before thousands of viewers, refusing to hide behind the perfect facade. The response was overwhelming. Messages flooded in from people who saw themselves in my story, who felt empowered to fight for their own futures. I realized that true strength comes not just from wealth or fame, but from honesty and vulnerability. One night, after signing off, I found a message waiting on my phone. It was from my father. "I'm proud of the man you've become. Maybe one day, you'll find it in your heart to forgive me." I stared at the words long after they vanished from the screen. Forgiveness, I realized, wasn't for him. It was for me. To let go of the pain that threatened to consume my soul. I didn't reply. Instead, I looked around at my family, their smiles, their laughter, their hope, and I knew I was finally free. Years passed, and the boy who once worked construction to put food on the table had grown into a man who inspired millions. My YouTube channel became more than just a platform. It was a beacon for those who believe that no matter where you start, you could rise. Mom, now healthy and proud, would often sit beside me during live streams, smiling as she watched her youngest son turn dreams into reality. My siblings followed their own paths, some finishing school, others pursuing their passions, all because we'd broken the cycle. My father's shadow never disappeared completely, but it no longer controlled us. Sometimes I'd think about what might have happened if he had never left, that maybe I wouldn't have had the hunger, the fire to push past poverty and pain. Maybe I'd have stayed small, stuck in a life of fear and silence. But the truth was clear. His absence forced me to fight, to grow, and to become more than anyone expected. I built my empire not because of him, but in spite of him. I saved my family not with his help, but with my own two hands and relentless spirit. And when he came back, asking for money and a place to stay, I refused, not out of cruelty, but because I had learned the value of respect and earned love. The man who left us was gone, but the boy who survived had risen, stronger, wiser, and unbreakable. This is the story of how pain became power, and how a broken family found strength in the unlikeliest places. It's a story of survival, of choosing your own destiny, and of never letting the past define your future. Because sometimes the hardest battles lead to the greatest victories.